on exception handling concepts. So we need to understand how exceptions can be handled, and arithmetic exception, how you can handle, and null pointer exception, how you can handle, and array index out of bounds exception, how you can handle, number format exception, how can we handle. So how to use finally keyword, throws keyword, and throw keyword. So all this one by one, let's go and use that. Just let me click this exception handling. Okay. First, you have arithmetic exceptions, right? Let me, so add this code, okay? So you have a program like this, right? You have a program like this. So we just okay. So you see, we just declared one variable a equal to 50, b equal to 0. So now what I'm doing, and I'm writing inside the method, any method. So int result equal to a by b. So a by b means b is a 0 and a is a 50. That means 50 by 0 you are doing. So 50 by 0, that means you are dividing a number by 0. Then you will get a array, so arithmetic exception, right? You'll get arithmetic exception. So to handle that arithmetic exception, so you know what needs to be done, right? So we can do, so a try catch finally blocks you can use, and you can handle this exception. Otherwise, if you don't handle, what will happen? Just observe that. So if you don't handle, so what will happen? Just execute. I have written just a small code. So many lines of code I have written, right? Many lines of code I have written. So we have written, see, almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines of code we have written. But is it going to execute or not? We need to see that. So just run this program. See that? So exception in thread main, arithmetic exception divided by 0 you are getting. So divided by 0 you are getting. So divided by 0 you are getting. So which line you are getting? How can you check that? See that? Your package name, class name, method name. So, and line number here, see that. So this class dot Java file, 8th line. 8th line means which one? Just click on this. So it will highlight. So that line you are getting a arithmetic exception. So I already told, right? When you will get arithmetic exception? When if you divide any number by 0, you will get. If you divide any number by 0, you will get it. That's why we are dividing now number by 0, right? 50 by 0. That's why this line is giving error. See, rest of the code is not executed. See, this code is not executed. None of the code is executed. That's what exception I told, right? Wherever the exception occurs, that line itself, it will terminate. the program execution. The remaining lines of code won't execute for it. It won't execute. Remaining lines of code won't execute for it. So how can you make it work? So even the exception occurs, but there is no relation with this line, remaining lines, and you should not stop them. How can you make it work? So just select which lines of code is throwing an exception and surround with a try catch blocks. See, surround with try catch blocks. That's it. So automatically this code will be, I'm writing something extra, the finally block also I'm writing. So this is the finally block also I'm writing. See, only which line of code is giving error, only that block inside only your try block. So which line of code is giving an exception, only that line and that relevant line should be in the try block. And in the catch block, so okay, the error has to be thrown, right? And you are writing. So this is the catch, the exception. So you are writing this exception. If you know, you write exact exception, you know, okay, this line is throwing arithmetic exception. You don't need to write exception generic class. You can write arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception you can write. You can write arithmetic exception. You can write arithmetic exception. Or exception class. Anything. And E dot print stack trace. That means that entire error message will print for you if you write this method. So E means this reference variable. So print stack trace is the method in this exception classes. It is available. It is available. This method is available in the exception classes. Print stack trace. And still you have few more methods. Get message method is there. Get cause method is there. You can so use those methods because those are all so implemented in the throwable class. So throwable class is the root class, right? In the root class they implemented, so child classes can use that. So that is the try. Now see, there is an exception here and we have written finally block. See, finally block code will execute always, even the exception occurs here or not. If exception occurs, still finally block will execute and catch block will execute, then finally block will execute. So this catch block, what it will do, when there is an exception here, this catch block will go catch this error and then it will execute this catch block. Once catch block is done, then it will go to finally block. Then it will go to finally block. So once the finally block is done, this line of code will execute for it. Now execute this. See, the entire code will execute for it. That's the advantage of exception handling. See, before it stopped here only, right? But now remaining finally block code executed. And this remaining block of code also executed. That is the now catch block executed here. See, catch block is, this is the catch block statement. So catch block executed. So that is the, so catch block when it will execute, because so catch block is executing because catch block is executing because there is a issue in the try block. If there is no issue in the try block, then catch block won't execute. So that's the purpose of try catch block. So remaining entire code will execute till the end. if you don't include try catch, the remaining code won't execute. It is stopped here only, right? Last time. Stopped here only. But now it is executing entire code, entire lines of code, all the code it is executing. So wherever you are going to get an exception, that line of code you need to keep in the try catch blocks. So you need to keep in the try catch blocks. So that's the arithmetic exception, how you can handle. See, if I, for example, so there is no exception now. How can you make, and I will divide that to 2. I'll give b value 2 without 0. So now it has a value. So value means there is no exception here. And this line also will execute. If this line execute, this line didn't execute previously. Now this line will execute and this line will execute. Now catch block will skip because there is no issue in the try block. Try block is successful. So it will jump directly to finally block. Then this line of code will execute successfully. So let's see that. How do you know that? Whether it is, you have to run in debug mode step by step, then you will come. See, now there is no exceptions here. See, this part executed. See, it didn't go even catch block. So it is successful, jump directly to finally block. So jump directly to finally block. And that's the advantage of this. So the arithmetic exception, how we can handle. Is this clear?
Yes.
So why do you need a try catch finally? See, finally is executed if there is no exception here and there is an exception here. Both cases executed. But when catch block is executing, only when there is an exception in the try block. Okay? Only when there is an exception, that time only catch block will execute. But finally block, whether exception is there or exception is not there. Both cases finally block are, that means always executes finally block. So that's the arithmetic exception. Next, null pointer exception. So null pointer exception means, for example, so now private static string yes, null we declared. Okay, so we declared a null. So on the null variable, you see what I'm doing. So now this S is having a null value. On the null variable, what I'm doing? What I'm doing here?
Oh, the dot length is to...
You are calling the length method. You are accessing the length method. So that length method you are accessing. So you are accessing the length method. So on the null variable, you are calling the method. That's why you will get a null pointer exception here in this line. So this line belongs to, okay, this line belongs to this only, because you are just printing this value, right? So these two are one group. So now Control Shift format. See, and if you execute now, see what is happening. So now you got a null pointer exception. Which line? How do you know? So what is the line number? Here you need to see your class name, .java file, and line number. This is the line number. See, line number 10, you're getting a null pointer exception because yes, as a null value, that's why you are getting a null pointer exception. On the null variable, you call the method. That is not acceptable. If you call the method on the null variable, it will throw null pointer exception. So how can you handle that? Just enclose this in the surround with a try catch block, and I'll just add finally blocks also. So catch and finally block I added. See, try catch null pointer exception npe dot print stack trace. So I'm saying print all the error messages. Then finally execute this code, whatever the code you want. Then remaining code I'm executing here. So now execute. Even still you will get a exception in this line. And once you get exception, what will happen? It will go to catch block, then finally block, then remaining code. But once you solve this, now it's okay, you declared a null initially, but later you give value for that S. Then it will resolve that issue. So, and you have to resolve that by giving a value, proper value. See now, you are getting exception, but still code is executing. Remaining code is executing. And here it terminated, and it didn't terminate. It got an exception, and catch block catch this exception, and the catch block is executed. Then finally block executed, rest of the code is executed. Now I will give a value for this S. Okay, initially I declared null, fine. And now I'm providing a S value. What is the S value now? In the 7th line we passed
Java.
We are assigning a value for this S. Here you assigned a value null, but here you are assigning a value Java. So now S is not a null. S is having a value. Java is there. So Java will length will find out, and this will be successful, and the catch block won't execute. Then it will go to finally block. Then see that. So that's the execution flow. If you don't understand, please let me know. See, this part executed. Then directly jump to where? See that this part where? This
Finally
code where
block.
it is? Finally block. That means catch block is not executed. Why catch block is not executing this time?
Because there was no exception in the try. I mean, it didn't catch an
There is
exception
no
in the try
exception in
block.
the try block. There is no exception in the try block. That's why catch block is skipping. If there is exception in the try block, then only catch block will be called. Otherwise, catch block won't be called. So that is the null pointer exception when you will get. When there is a null value in the variable, on the null variable, if you are calling any method, then you will get a null pointer exception. Okay. So is it clear when you will get null pointer exception, how to handle that?
Yes.
Okay. Next, number format exception. So number format exception is generally number format exception you will get. So when you are doing a wrong formatting, when you're doing a wrong formatting, for example, you have a Java instead of number. So number you can convert into number in string format, you can convert into so primitive integer. But if there is a alphabets in the string, you cannot convert that into primitive. So that's what the problem. So there is a no. So one interview question: how can you convert the string object into int primitive format? So this is the value. So int variable. So int variable equal to integer dot parseInt string object. String object. See, this is the wrapper class. So 8 primitive data types. So 8 primitive data types has 8 wrapper classes. So this is the one. See, this is the primitive and this is the wrapper class. How can you say this is the class?
Capitalized letter in the beginning.
Beginning. That's the wrapper class. Class naming conventions. So Boolean, Boolean. Char, character. Byte, byte. Short, short. Int, integer. Long, long. Float, float. Double, double. So 8 wrapper classes are there for 8 primitive data types. See, every wrapper class has this parse method. Parse, for example, parse character, parse byte, parse short, parse integer, parse int, parse long, parse float, parse double. So you pass the object. Object means not only string object, any object. So basically these wrapper classes are used to convert the object into primitive, primitive into object. If you want to do that, then you will use a wrapper classes. So now what we are doing here, object you are converting into primitive format. So that means this parse int method is a return type method which returns a what type of data? Integer type of data. So integer wrapper class dot parse int. You are storing in a variable. You are storing in a variable. And then so you execute it. Now what we are doing, you are executing string in alphabets, trying to convert into primitive integer. So then, and you are doing other calculations. So this is the one, this one you are converting string object into primitive format. See, you are getting a number format exception for input string. Then how can you handle this number format exception? So which line, how do you know? So just enable that, see the console. So which line you are getting for input string? See, it is clearly saying the reason why you are getting this number format action because of input string Java. Which line? See, package name, class name, method name, and method line 24. See, this is the line which is giving a number format action. Why it is giving a number format exception?
Because there's a string where there should be a number. It's a primitive data type, or
It's
it's
a
a
wrong
object.
formatting. Wrong
Wrong
formatting.
formatting.
You're
Yeah.
doing a wrong formatting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alphabets you cannot convert into integer. That's not possible. That means that is a wrong formatting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mainly number format exception you will get when you're doing a wrong formatting. So we have done a wrong formatting. That's why you got this number format exception. Okay. Now, so let's select this. So how can you handle this? So this number format exception, okay, even though if a exception occurs, see this code is not executed. This code is blocked. So how can you execute this rest of the code? Remaining code. This is not related to this line, but still here itself terminating. 24 line itself terminating. Rest of the code is not executing. But I want to execute my rest of the code. Even the exception occurs here. So you can handle through surround with a try catch blocks. Just surround with a try catch block and it will be handled thoroughly. So that's the catch block, try catch block we added. So you will get an exception here, but still, right? Still, you can see. I'm going to print this I value, right? Let me print I value. So I value after convert. So converting to primitive int plus I. See now, so that code won't execute now because there is an exception in this line. So this line, 25th line, that's why this will skip. Now it went to catch block. Catch block is executed this one. Then print stack is printed all these lines of code. Then, so see after a catch block, this line of code is executed. This lines of code is executed. See this. So this is how you can execute the code. So see Java 0 you're getting and the result is I plus 10. So only 0 and 10 it is stored in the result. Now you change this string to number in string format. Now see what will happen. See now, this is successful. That's why try block is executed. After try block, where it went? So this code is executed. This one and this one. So this is the how you can solve the number format exception. Then we have a single try multi-catch blocks. Single try a multi-catch blocks. How much time we have still? Okay. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. See that I created array. Okay. I'm finding out the array length and I'm finding out the last element index. Array dot length -1. Now I'm inserting the elements. First element I inserted 15 by 0 here. And then I am inserting more than the array size. So let's see what will happen. Okay. Then I'm printing the array values using this for each loop. Let's execute this. What will happen? See that. So what is happening? These two lines executed 9 and 10. So that's why this value and this value. Next, what happened? This line, when it comes to this line, see this 14th line. See, when it comes to 14th, so it got an exception. What kind of exception you got?
Arithmetic exception.
So why you're getting arithmetic exception?
Because our number is being divided by 0.